going to take some time now to look at the MBTI true type versus the reported type. So although the MBTI assessment is really one of the most reliable personality instruments available, no test or assessment is going to be perfect. So you may feel entirely comfortable that your reported type really describes who you are, but we're going to confirm that. You may even wonder, though, whether a different type really describe you better. So if you're questioning your type a little bit about, especially once you've had a formal assessment done, it may be helpful to recall what you're thinking or experiencing when you filled out that answer sheet, and your results really reflect to what you think and not any kind of outside influences. So what led you to respond to the way you did? Perhaps instead of describing yourself as you really are, you were thinking about how someone else wants you to be or how you would really like to be. Maybe you were thinking about a job you wanted, so you responded as though you thought someone in that job may have responded. You may also have looked at how you may have been rushed or under a lot of stress as you were completing that kind of an assessment. Because of all of these issues, I really like to take time to investigate this true type as well. As we identify our true type, we're going to go through each of these different steps. We're going to see what represents our natural preferences and look at the MBTI instrument's purpose to really point you to your true fit, your best fit. Notice that there really is a subtle difference between the true fit and the reported fit. We want to do the best fit. Who are you? We're going to look through a few of these steps now. Let's identify the type. So first, take a moment to write down your reported type. For instance, mine is INTJ, and from my reported type, well, this is my reported type from my MBTI assessment. Then we're going to, second, evaluate the pairs that you may be unsure of. For instance, let's say if you were an ESTJ, you may enjoy being with the other people, but the experiences drain your energy instead of really make you wonder. So you're going to circle then E and wonder, maybe I'm really an I because I get more energy when I'm by myself. Continue on to evaluate each of the other pairs. Your I, your E, right? Intuition, sensing, NS, feeling, thinking, FT, and judging, perceiving. When you're done with that, we want to then look at what distractions or pressures or stressors may have really impacted your choice during the MBTI. So remember, we talked a little bit about that already in just a few seconds ago, but I think that the MBTI website explains it best. These reasons include, but are not limited to, concern about how others might feel about you, working to develop skills, quantities of different preferences, a lack of clarity about oneself, type development, work, social expectations, or stress. The reasons a person may have a different result from the MBTI instrument that they do not reflect their best fit type. One of my favorite situations is when I think about a young man that I worked with who claimed he was one MBTI type, and the reason he was sure he was that MBTI type was because his mother wanted him to be a software engineer, and the software engineer career fell within a certain MBTI type. This is not really the case, though. As we looked into it more deeply, we found out that he was on a completely different spectrum. In fact, not one of his pairs was the right one. So we really want to look and see what stressor may have impacted that assessment. We really want to be able to change these preferences. So for instance, if you had that I, as we did in our previous example, we may want, or E, right? We did the extrovert. We want to be able to change it to an I. And then maybe we're going to change that J to a P, just to look at differences. Now let's list all the different possibilities. We have an ESTJ, an ESTP, ISTJ, and an ISTP. So you can see that now, instead of having one type, which was the reported type, there are actually 4 different possibilities. Next, in looking at the true type, let's read the descriptions of each one of these types. You're going to take a moment to really look it up and to be able to identify which one is the best. Next, identify the true type. As you read these, be sure to highlight anything that you feel as in with a real highlighter, right? So print it out and be sure to highlight the things for which you feel most confident really portray who you are. I have worked with clients in the past, and when we lined up the options, we have found that there is one description of a particular type that is pretty much all highlighted, and that tends to be the true type.